when Scott and Keith said, "Hey, would you mind coming out and sharing your story with people?" I'm honored, because somebody helped me, and a millionaire is a liar. It takes a team, it takes a group, it takes people working together. So I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm going to just kind of share how I got started. And this is especially valuable for anybody that's ever been in construction or in the trades in their life, because that was what my life was, right? I started off remodeling houses in about 1989. I had taken all the shop classes that you could in high school. I went to college at DePaul University studying entrepreneurship strategy. And after college, I started my own remodeling company. This is a loft at North and Western. John drinking his coffee there worked for me for a few years. This is some of the work that we did. We custom made islands and soffits, and this is a wine rack that I'm welding. You can tell this was a long time ago because my hair is still black, but I loved it. I had a lot of fun doing this stuff. I made about $30,000 on this project. The investor made over 200,000 in equity. He lived in the property for a while. He then rented it out. He made far more than $250,000. And I had thought to myself back in my early 30s, if I could have bought this property, I could have made $250,000 instead of 30 if I only had good credit, if I only had money. And that was what I believed I needed to do real estate. And if God said I could change one thing in my life, I wish I would have started learning about real estate earlier in my life, because I just didn't know what I didn't know. I call this the house that changed my life. This is a 13-bedroom, 7-bathroom home built in 1893. This is an elevator shaft. Kind of cool to have an elevator today, much less 1893. Notice the copper's been stolen. The roof is black. We gutted the house. We took the roof off. A lot of rotted wood was here because there was lots of leaks in the roof. I preserved the quarter sawn oak staircases. There was 2 of them. And the construction was 1.1 million. Notice the roof is red. It's actually the same roof. It was dirty. We took it off. We acid washed it, sealed it, put it back on, did all the copper work, rebuilt this property. And when I took this picture, it was worth $2,450,000. It actually appraised for $2.2 million upon completion. And here's some of the interior pictures. We did custom arches and Brazilian cherry floors. There were 6 fireplaces in this home. This one was super cool with 2 different colors of granite. We built a deck off the master bedroom on the top floor. And I asked the question, who made $700,000? The answer to that is not me, right? I was the guy with the tool belt strapped around my waist. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to work on this property, because I didn't hear that you could make money in real estate from an infomercial. Right? I didn't go to a seminar. They didn't have webinars back in 2003 like you're on right now. I actually had the opportunity to witness the transformation and the forcing of appreciation in a property that I said to myself, right, how do I become those guys? Right. And that was my whole beginning of my inspiration to get into real estate investing. And again, I wish that I would have started learning earlier. And I could have read books earlier. I could have, taken courses on real estate investing earlier in my life. And I was 36 years old. I met a gentleman who invited me to a free real estate workshop, and which I've now been attending every month for 18 years. It was 2006 when I went to that first one. And I learned that there are many things that I can do to make money in real estate. And I'm not going to get into great detail, but I'm just going to show the slide of what real estate investing is, because I saw this when I first got interested in real estate, back in 2006. And I like to call it becoming a transactional engineer. There it is. Okay. So fundamentally, I learned there's 3 things that we do in real estate investing. We acquire properties, wholesale, subject to foreclosures, auctions, REOs. We find a way to finance them. Creative and seller financing, self-directed retirement plans, business credit lines are my favorite. And we figure out what we're going to do with them, right? I can wholesale a property, I can fix and flip it, I can buy and hold. And you don't have to know everything on this chart, but learning a couple ways to acquire properties at discounts, and I'm going to share with you how we do it today using artificial intelligence, right? Figuring out how we're going to pay for it, because I thought I needed my own money and credit, because I just bought a house subject to this one right here. We raised 80,000. We bought a mobile home with 60 of it and have 20,000 left over to furnish the house. And I have no payments on that note for a year. So I literally just did a real estate deal. Did not have my credit checked. I did not go to a bank. I raised $80,000 and I bought 2 properties with it. And that is now in process. We're furnishing the house that we bought. That's going to be a furnished short-term rental that'll be listed on Airbnb and Furnish Finder, is a few other of the websites that we like. And no money of my own, no credit, creating a property that its payment is $1,850 a month for PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. As a furnished short-term rental, it'll bring in between 5,000 to 7,000, maybe even 8,000 a month, because there's 2 units on that property, and positive cash flow of $4,000 a month on one house is a pretty awesome real estate deal to do. And that is my short-term rentals. And I'm going to talk about those today. And I'm going to talk about a couple of luxury short-term rentals that I'm a part of. But these are the fundamentals, right? If you want to get into real estate, this is what we learn. And one of the reasons that we do these property tours is to give you an opportunity to learn from people who actually do this stuff for real, who live it and breathe it every day. And when I was looking for real estate investment support, training, whatever, I wanted to be around people who did it for real. And that was, I don't find that on YouTube. I don't find that, in books. I personally needed to be around people. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to be supported by people who cared about my success. And, I found that. And that's why I've been a part of this real estate investment community now for 18 years of my life. So I started my journey. My very first real estate deal was a foreclosure fix and flip. My second real estate deal was a short sale. The homeowner owed $350. I got the bank to take $196,400. I raised the capital to buy the property using somebody's retirement account, their 401k, and I fixed that house up in 16 days. And we stuck a sign in the yard and sold it for $285. It sold 5 days after we put the signs up, and we made almost $70,000 on a 16-day remodeling project that, as a contractor, I would have made about $3,000. And that was life-changing, in that I made my annual salary, which is more than I had ever made in a year as a contractor, in a 16-day remodeling project. And I've never looked back, right? I started learning about real estate in 2006. I quit my job in December of that year, and I've been a full-time real estate investor ever since. And just a couple of properties before I get into our short-term rentals that I've done. I started restoring Victorians. This is a 1905. I like showing this one because we got $43,000 in grant money for this. The things I like about grant money is that you don't have to pay it back. You have to win it, right? There's a point system. And if you understand what they're looking for, you can win grant money. And we did 7,000 linear feet of cedar beveled siding. I hand cut all the diamonds and hand made all the copper. And on this roof here, this little roof, we did you can see the roof in this picture is all brand new. And we stripped this with 70 gallons of stripper. And this is me, right? I still to this day enjoy working on houses. But, this is one of the things that I love about real estate, right? It makes a difference for the neighborhoods. It makes a difference for the houses. I consider myself but a steward of this house. This house was built in 1905. It'll be here long after I'm passed. And these are some of the things that we've done. Now, I quickly went from doing fix and flips to buy and hold, and I will share with you, I wish I would have started buying and holding properties earlier in my life, and I wish I would have kept more of the houses I did flip. And that, hindsight's 2020. So this ended up being my very first rental property that I ever did. This is a house that we bought. It had sold for 184. We bought it for 39.5. This was a bank-owned house, had been vacant for 3 years. It was uninhabitable. And uninhabitable houses are bought at discounts. And what makes a house uninhabitable? Doesn't have a toilet. It doesn't have a kitchen sink. They cut the copper out of the basement. The crackheads will break into a house and steal the copper. I mean, it's just what happens in vacant houses. So this one here we bought, and this was the original bathroom in the house. It was just horrible. And the siding was all rotted. We just tore it off with a pitchfork. And these are some of the people within our community that came out. And we ended up rehabbing this house for about 40 grand. And I did a lot of the work and managed the crew. And we just brought this house back to life. And this is some of the pictures. Took a radiator out of the bathroom, and I heated it with the radiator water through PEX underneath the floor, which the tenants really love. I still own this house today. And so I shared these pictures with you because, I started my real estate career very modestly. I did little projects, little houses, cheaper things that were within my expertise. I got people around me that knew what they were doing. I reached out to this community of real estate investors, still to this day, all the time. I reach out, and this was the bathroom before. Taking the radiator out allowed us to put 2 sinks in, and with the heated floors, and beautiful new tile bathroom and shower. And so, this was my very first rental property that I bought. And I still own it today. When I first bought it, the rent was $1,550 a month. That rent is now $1,900 a month, and we've been able to refinance this property at 3% interest. And this was the first property that I created cash flow in my life. So in the world of real estate investing, I can do a fix and flip and make 50,000, which is great. But that 50,000, once it's gone, it's gone. So when I started getting into buying a property that I could then keep, the cash flow that I had made is what has now literally changed our life for the rest of our lives. And my own journey, I went from doing short sale and foreclosure fix and flips to then buy and hold rental properties that were single family. I then got into apartment buildings, and I did my first apartment building, and I held it for a year. It was kind of far away from me. I don't like to do properties that are an hour away. I will if it makes sense, but I try to. I own 2 houses I can walk to from here, so I like to keep it close, and I don't like to fight traffic anymore. But I did that apartment building. We bought the building, put less than 5,000 into it, held it for a year, it sold it, made $80,000. Another property that we didn't use any of our own money or have our credit checked upon purchase. And so that was a cool experience, right? So then I bought another apartment building, and that second apartment building was a 5-unit building, a small one, but we only paid $95,000 for it, and its rental income was about $2,200 a month, which I never actually got it because tenants were late and they were not paying. And so I rehabbed the building. I put about $45,000 into it. I raised the rents now. It's now up to $6,150 a month in gross revenue. And at an 8 cap, it's worth about $650,000. And we only paid $95,000 for that. So learning how to buy property, keep it, raise its revenue, cash flow it, refinance it, and pull all the capital out, those strategies made the biggest difference. Now in 2015, I got into doing some fix and flips, and I've got another flip right here. I started getting into bigger property. So the homeowner on this property owed $450,000. It was totally overgrown, as you can see. We got the bank to take $275,000. And this is some of the before pictures of this property. And this is a before and this is an after. So we just came in, we did a landscaping. I put in the new front door and painted it. We sold this property for $533. Now I like showing this one because one of the things that I regret is selling this house. If I knew then what I know now, I would still own it today. Today, this house is worth about $700,000. Not only that, it would be worth about $7,000 a month as a furnished rental property. So I went from doing unfurnished rentals to furnished rentals. And this is one of those properties that, again, hindsight's 2020. And I regret selling that one. This property here, now I'm showing you, is a furnished short-term rental. Now, this is where we got into starting to do furnished properties. Guys, my real estate career today looks like buying property that I can rehab and furnish and then rent it out short term. And you can see that my wife and I are super hosts. At this time I took this picture, we had 22 5-star reviews. We have over 95-star reviews today. And this property was bought for $70,000, rehabbed for about 40. It's worth about 350 today and makes $60,000 a year on as a short-term rental. And I got multiple websites. Airbnb is just one of them. But the process of learning about how to furnish properties, how to get them online, we make far more money with furnished properties than we do with unfurnished properties. And so in getting into furnished short-term rentals, pull up my Zoom here. All right, so this is one we did. This is another, this isn't quite luxury. This, what I'm going to get into is our luxury short-term rental portfolio, but this was a property that we intended on fix and flipping. And I'm so grateful that it didn't sell. So we bought this house for $380,000. It was full of antique furniture. In fact, the antique furniture in the Victorian was in this house. So I walk in this house, it's packed to the gillet. They're putting price tags on the furniture. And I'm looking at this quarter sawn oak desk here. And this is mahogany, this is quarter sawn oak, and this is burled walnut. There's a $250 price tag on this. There's a $200 price tag on this, and a $200 price tag on this. Guys, this is $10,000 worth of antiques. So when I walked in the house, I'm like, I'm going to buy this house, including all of its furniture. Why? Because I just finished restoring this house that we had bought for $70,000, and we could furnish the house in one fell swoop. So here's a pro tip: go to estate sales. If you ever see an estate sale or a estate sale that's listed as coming up, find out if the house is for sale, because many times the house is for sale and they're doing the estate sale first before they put it on the market. So we've done quite a few real estate deals now, and I actually go to estate sales all the time. I've been to 4 estate sales in the last 2 weeks, furnishing our property, and we're getting these properties now. So I share these two because one of the most valuable conversations that my mentor ever had with me was in February of 2006, when I met the guy that introduced me to real estate. And he asked me a question. He said, Bob, are you how much are you going to make this year? It was early in the year. I'm like, I'll make 70 grand this year. I'd made 60 the year before. I was ambitious. He said, how many hours a week do you work? I thought about it for a second, and I said, all of them, because that was my experience of life as a remodeling contractor. He said, listen, you're easily a $500,000 or more a year guy. And I'm telling you right now, you're easily a $500,000 a year or more person. Right. And then I'm like, okay, I'm all ears. Teach me. He said, if you want to make a $500,000 a year, you have to quit making $70,000 a year, because the $70,000 a year that you're making is taking up all your time. You need to replace your time for dollar income with a different type of income. So what type of income does not require that I trade my time for it? Guys, this property makes $60,000 a year. That's as much as I made as a contractor, and I paid taxes on that. right? I don't pay income taxes on the revenue that's generated from this property because it goes into a corporation. Now the corporation earns money and it spends money and it gets taxed on what's left over. I pay myself a salary out of that, which I pay taxes on. I only pay myself 30 grand a year, right? This property makes 60 grand a year. When this property came into my life, this is a 3,500 square foot house on 1.1 acres. It's actually absolutely stunning. We did the kitchen. We did the bathrooms, and I wish I had bigger pictures of this, but this is a property, guys. This house makes 80,000 a year. So I share these two properties with you because my wife and I together combined, working full time, we're making about 120,000 a year. That's what our full time income was, and it took us 20 years to get there. These two houses make more per year than we made full time. And it took me 4 months to rehab this house. And it took me 4 months to rehab this house. I didn't use any of my own money or credit to buy it or rehab it. And these have replaced our income for the rest of our lives. Once you get to the point where you have your income replaced, then that provides the freedom and the time for you to actually do whatever it is that you want to do with your life. Take the vacations you want to take, right? Have the lifestyle that you want to have. Take better care of your children. Take better care of your parents, right? Have those experiences in life that you want. And when I started my journey, I thought I was broke, right? I was living check to check. I brought it when I got married in 2005. I bought a ring and a wedding, and I apologized to my new wife that I could not afford a honeymoon. But these were the two properties, right? This one was bought in around 2012. And the first 5 years of its life, it was a regular rental. I then furnished it once I bought this house. This house I bought in 2015, which furnished this one. And then this house was then rented out as an Airbnb and short-term rental in 2016. So I've been an Airbnb and short-term rental host now since 2016. We just bought this house. This house was bought 3 weeks ago tomorrow. This is already one of the units. This is making $3,500 a month for a 1-bedroom. And then we're going to do the 3-bedroom upstairs that's being painted right now today. In fact, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to install some new medicine cabinets and work with the painters and just get this property up and running. This property will be about $6,000 to $7,000 a month. And we paid $200,000 for it, subject to leaving its existing financing in place, taking over the owner's mortgage. And once it's rehabbed, it'll be worth about $360,000 to $380,000. And we're going to keep it. This is another furnished short-term rental. Now, a few years back, one of my partners in this real estate investment group, he found a luxury property and rented that property out. We started to get into luxury short-term rentals. And so this was the first luxury short-term rental that he found. And this is a 7,500 square foot house. It's on about 7.5 acres, 7.2. And it was a horse farm and has a beautiful in-ground pool, hot tub in the back. There's no neighbors. I want you to notice this. This is one of the keys of luxury short-term rentals. One of our sayings is we start where Airbnb stops. So Airbnb stops at 16 guests. Airbnbs had gotten in a lot of trouble with hosting party or people having parties and different things like that. We've designed our business so that we can host parties. So one of the things that we say, we start where Airbnb stops. Right? We don't mind having 40 or 50 or 60 or even 100 people at a house like this. We charge accordingly. And this property here, its first year as a short-term rental, luxury short-term rental, made $319,000 in revenue. And this property only cost $810,000 to purchase it. And it was in wonderful shape. So this property was purchased right off the multiple listing service. So it was a experiment. It was a, hope and a prayer that we would do well in the world of luxury short-term rentals. And it was so well received that we did it again and again and again. And so in the process of building a luxury short-term rental portfolio, we decided to build our own website. So you'll notice the name of our website is bookofmemory.com, right? Bookofmemory.com. So our saying, don't just book a house, book a memory. And the kind of people that rent our properties are family reunions and weddings, even corporations that have discovered that their employees and staff love to stay in a super cool, awesome short-term rental property that has an in-ground pool. We can house, we've actually housed 50 people in this house. We bought bunk beds and did all kinds of stuff to house it. But this house here was bought. It cost $4.4 million to build this house. It was on the market, and we only paid $1,325,000 for it, and we bought it off the MLS. So your question is, why in the world would somebody have sold a house that cost $4.4 million to build in 2005? Why would they sell it for $1,325,000? Well, the answer is this is a farm. You can't see the barn from this direction in this picture, but right here is a huge barn. And right next to that barn are huge silos. This house was built by the farmer that owned the 350 acres that was this farm. The farmer sold the farm, including the house. The new farmers bought the house. The son, his wife, and their one daughter lived in this house for a couple of years. And could you imagine two people and a daughter, right? And one child living in a house like this? It has 7 bathrooms. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't take care of it. They didn't feel like cleaning it. It was let go. All the trees were overgrown. The pool was not usable because they ran out of time and effort and energy to maintain a house like this. Now, for us as short-term rental hosts, do we care if it's on a farm? Absolutely not. Does the person renting this house care that it's on a farm? Guys, just the pools cost $400,000 with the waterfall and the hot tub and the pool house. There's 2 lakes that this is surrounded by. This is what you get when you walk in the front door. Look at this staircase. Couldn't you imagine a wedding party with all the bridesmaids and all the groom and the groom's right men and the bride and the groom at the top here? That would be such a cool picture. And when we walked in, these chandeliers, guys, they're on a motor. So you push a button and it goes down. Oops, where's my camera? There. It goes down. You can change the light bulbs and clean it all. When we walked into this thing, and notice there's a piano here. This is a player piano. You stick a CD in the thing and it automatically plays, so that when we have, a big party or guests coming in, we have piano being played as people walk in. It's super cool. We are going to have a retreat here where you will be able to come and join us and spend the weekend with us, right? We're going to do like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to have a whole bunch of real estate investors that are experienced in the world of luxury short-term rentals. And if you'd like to go to our website, bookofmemory.com, this is something that you can actually book for yourself and your family, weddings or friends and people that you know. There's a little video here. And this is Lakeview Manor because it's got beautiful views of multiple lakes around it. And guys, the financial aspect of this house. So 4.4 million, pause it there. So, excuse me, 1.325 million was the purchase price. That included $100,000 in furniture. So how do we structure the deal? We sold off, so the houses are bought inside of limited liability companies, LLCs. We sold off 25% of the ownership of the LLC to raise $460,000 in capital to put the down payment for the lender, because they wanted us to put 20% down. So 20% of 1.3 million is about 260,000. And then we wanted to have enough capital in the bank to do any repairs that might be necessary. And we did need to drain the pool and replace some tile. The place was really dirty, so we came out there, we cleaned everything. We got all the bushes trimmed. It just made it really nice. And we rented this house out. It was rented out within 24 hours of getting it listed. Between July and December, it made $190,000 in revenue. So we expect this house to make about $350,000 to $400,000 this year. Its break even is about $12,000 a month. So we have to make $12,000 a month in order to pay its mortgage and the bills and the power and utilities and all that stuff. But at $350,000 to $400,000 a year, the positive cash flow on this is pretty substantial. So when you are a couple of key points, because we are actively seeking and looking for properties to add to our portfolio today. There is literally an unlimited amount of capital that is out there and available for real estate investors. I used to think money was the hard part of real estate investing because I didn't have any and my credit was bad. And what I learned was that if I could learn what to do with real estate, like, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to fix and flip it, wholesale it? Am I going to buy and hold it? Am I going to furnish it? Am I not? Right? Am I going to list this on as a short-term rental? If I can learn what to do with real estate and make the mathematics work. And then the second piece of that puzzle is if I can learn how to acquire properties at discounts or have a business model that allows me to buy houses like this, even pay full price on the market, and it still works financially, I have now created a profitable real estate business. So people think that they need money to do real estate, and that's the missing component. I'm here to tell you it's not the missing component, right? What you focus your time and your effort and your education on learning is, what are the business models in real estate that are going to make money? And how do I find properties that are going to fit into that business model? Once you learn those two things, raising capital is the absolute easiest part of real estate investing. I raised $180,000 in the past 2 weeks, right? How did I do that? I made it in the lender's best interest, the investor's best interest, to invest in the real estate. I gave them security of being a part owner in the property's entity that it's owned inside of, or offering a first position mortgage on their investment capital. We make sure that our investors win. And if we screw up the deal, they win bigger. How do they do that? Because they get access, they get the ownership of the property. So raising capital is the easiest part of real estate investing, right? Learning how to find deals, learning how to structure deals, learning how to analyze deals, learning how to create and engineer profitability in deals. That is the fundamental part of what we learn to get good at in real estate. Because I've been mentoring people in real estate investing now for 18 years. And every time I meet a brand new person, I'm like, Bob, I want to do what you do. I'm like, awesome. Be willing to give real estate the respect it deserves, right? If you think that you're going to make a quick dollar in real estate, or you're going to take advantage of people, this is not the right industry for you. But if you are willing to educate yourself and spend time with people that are actually doing this stuff for real and willing to support you and willing to help you, those are the things that have made the biggest difference in my life. Every single real estate deal that we've ever done, is different. And what's different about it, right? What's different about it is the circumstance of the homeowner and the condition of the property, right? And so when we walked into this one and all this furniture was already in it, we're like, we'll take it as is. We want all your furniture. We'll make the offer, including everything. Just this kitchen was $400,000 if you go in and look at all the quality of everything. So that's why we like this. We like the luxury short-term rental market. And you can see now that we're starting the process of expanding our portfolio. There's a couple of houses here that we don't even own that we're now hosting for other people and allowing people to then rent on our website. So we're building a brand in bookofmemory.com. Why did we do that? When you get to the point where your properties are renting out for $3,500 a night, and then an extra $47 a night per person over 8, which is the structure of most of our properties at this level, the fees on Airbnb for the weekend are astronomical, right? When you go get an Airbnb that's $300 a night, you're going to pay, $500-600 in Airbnb fees. You go get a property that's $3,000 a night, and that number also 10x's. So that was the reason that we decided to build our own booking site that we can then bring people right directly to us. Now, there's considerations in luxury short-term rentals. I don't like neighbors nearby. Why? Because if I've got 50 people that are having a wedding and a reception at a house like this, they're going to make some noise. They're going to have music playing and different things like that. We don't want to limit that. So if I'm in a neighborhood where I've got a property where I can open the window and ask for a cup of sugar, that's not a good, it's not a good neighborhood for us. So we like space, we like acreage. So I'm always looking, right? If you've got a property that is of this caliber, that's in, 7 acres, 10 acres, 15 acres. We just bought one that's 60 acres. We're looking for those types of deals. We also like properties that are off market and in foreclosure. So in my journey in real estate investment, I went from trading my time for dollar type of deals, which is a job like fix and flips and wholesaling. There's a lot of time and effort and energy in that. I'm only as wealthy as my next deal. I then went into figuring out that cash flow is better than net worth, and cash flow is something that I want to focus on. Guys, if I pull up a chart here, and this is one of the charts that I saw when I first started my journey into real estate investing. And this was one that really upset me. This is how much I need for retirement. Well, if I'm going to have any lifestyle, I'm going to need at least $10,000 a month living in Chicagoland. You can pick your own number. But if I'm going to make $10,000 a month and I'm going to live for 20 years in retirement, I'm going to need 3.5 million. Well, who said that I need to wait until 65 years old to retire? Because I retired when I was 38. How? I retired from ever working for anybody again because I learned that cash flow is the most important thing to work on. So if you can create a business that makes $10,000 a month and manage that business for 40 years, that's the equivalent of having $10 million in savings. And it's even better than that because at the end of 40 years, do I still own the houses? Are they still producing cash flow? Absolutely. Could I hand those properties off to my children or my heirs or charity? Absolutely. Because the truth is that saving for retirement is broken and that the average American only makes $2.5 million. They don't have even $1 million in savings. They have more like 200,000 in savings. They're making $3,000 a month for 5 years. That's the challenge with focusing on saving for retirement rather than focusing on building a business that creates cash flow. The best thing that ever happened to me was a fix and flip that went bad that I ended up keeping, that I still own today, that now makes $80,000 a year in revenue that I just manage. Right. So take a picture of this, put it on your print it out, put it on your bathroom wall, right? Put a little frame around it and understand that the mindset of saving for retirement isn't working for most people in this country. 95% of Americans at 65 years old have either passed away, 54% are working, or excuse me, dependent, 36% are still working. 95% of Americans are broke. Only 5% are wealthy. Why? Because we're trained to get a 401k, and we're trained to get an IRA, and that saving for retirement is going to help us. Guys, when I started learning about how to create cash flow, we went far beyond $10,000 a month. We went even beyond $20,000 a month in revenue. We've got people in this community that are built portfolios of properties that are generating $70,000 a month in revenue. So that's why we focus on cash flow. Now, the other thing I wanted to share with you today is how do we find property? And I'm going to open up for questions. So one of the things that I learned was a system that finds property is worth its weight in gold. And so we have a platform that I only wish we had when I started my journey. But if I wanted to just look for a property in Cook County, Illinois, let's just say I'm looking for real estate deals, I can just click search and I can find all of the property in the United States of America with a click of a button. So in just a couple seconds, I found all of the property in Cook County, which consists of 1.4 million. Single family condos, townhomes, multi-apartment and other. This is 4 units and below. I'm in the residential side. If I were to include land and mobile, that number is now 1,420,649. So I've got all the property. So how do I find real estate deals? Well, I can look for, I've got 20 different lead types. I can look for zombie properties. Zombie properties are vacant and in pre-foreclosure. You can see in this map here, I've got property. I've got a concentration of properties in the south side of Chicago. That doesn't surprise anybody, right? That we've got a concentration of zombie properties on the south side. However, notice they're all over the place, right? Just because, right, they're all over, and this is all over the United States. So this is how I find real estate deals. My favorite is pre-foreclosures. This is how I cut my teeth in real estate. My very first and second real estate deals were a foreclosure and a short sale, and those two properties together made about $100,000. And one property took 4 weeks to rehab, and the other property took 16 days to rehab. So I just found 67,028 properties in Cook County. To give you some perspective, that was 27,120 days ago. And 2 years ago, that was only 7,000. So we've seen 60,000 foreclosures filed in Cook County in the last 2 years, 40,000 of them just in the last 4 months. Now, how do I market to these people? Well, I can do a couple things. This is super cool. I told you guys that I'm doing 2 subject to real estate deals right now, where I'm not actually raising the capital to buy the houses. I'm taking over the mortgage payments. Well, what type of mortgage payments do I want to take over? I want to take over low interest mortgage payments. So I can go here to more. I can go down to mortgage interest rate. I can type in 4% or below, and out of 67,000 properties that are in foreclosure, 11,912 of them have 4% or below interest rates, because this is an absolute gold mine. Because I don't have to raise the capital and go pay 7% interest. I can go and negotiate with the seller, the owner of the property. I'm going to come in and take over your mortgage payments. I'm going to get your mortgage caught up. That's one of the most powerful ways to acquire properties. So I can find properties at 4% or below. I've got 11,000 of them. I can then go even further, and on a scale of 0 to 1,000, I can find out the properties that are most likely to sell retail, be rented out, or wholesale in the next 90 days. So I like wholesale score. I like properties that score 500 or above. So out of the almost 12,000 properties that have 4% or below interest rates that are in pre-foreclosure currently, who scores 500 or above most likely to want to talk to me? That's 5,791. So I just cut that 12,000 number in half. Why is this valuable? Because I don't want to waste my time talking to people that are not wanting to talk to me. And if even 5,700 is a lot, I could go 600 or above, and I just cut that down to 907. From here, I have a lead management system where I can go and download my leads that I pick. I can literally have ads on people's Facebook pages within a few minutes, and be starting to drive traffic through marketing that I put out to find off-market properties that nobody else knows about, and have the opportunity to work directly with the seller of a property. So in all of the real estate deals that I've shown you today, right, I have generated the leads and worked directly with the seller in 90% of the properties I've done. And then 10% of the properties that we do are listed on the MLS and the market where everybody else knows about. These are some of the tools that we use that differentiate us. And guys, I'm not a real estate agent. I am not a licensed broker. I am a regular average guy who buys and sells houses, who learned how to do that through this organization and this operation. So we've got about 15 minutes left. I know I've gone over a lot of information, and I'd like to open up for questions and see who's got some questions for me about anything that I have covered so far. How we doing, Scott? Keith?
Doing excellent, Bob. Again, to add to Bob's statement, if you guys want to type in the chat room questions that you would like Bob to answer, that would be awesome. You've got an individual here that has a plethora of knowledge and experience, and he would love to share with you guys. So please type in the chat room any questions you might have. Alvin, I know you put a question earlier, but I think Bob addressed that. One of the things that they go after is they do not want to have their properties that they service for large parties, close to other people. So they're looking for properties that have some acreage to it, things like that. Bob, let's see. Is Bob open?
Yeah, I want to answer Alvin's question, because I want to get
it. Yeah, go ahead.
So how do you ensure that parties don't get it out of control draw negative feelings from the community where the short-term rental is located. We have very strict deposits that we charge. And if we have any complaints, they lose their security deposit. We have noise control. We've got cameras, right? If somebody, lies to us about how many people that we have very strict rules. We welcome them personally. We come to the property. If I've got a large party, we have a security guard that we actually has sit out front in a car and manages the security of a property. So there's lots of things that we can do. I do not allow anybody on the property that's not listed on the reservation. I have IDs for every single person that's allowed to enter our home. We have chaperones, strict rules, right? We're very, very expensive. So we attract a level of responsible people for the most part. And there's always been a couple issues here and there, but they're very rare because we are present. We make sure that our rules are known, and we just deal with it. And I think that how we go about communicating effectively is important. I think the property itself, right? We're not going to let too many people come on if I've got a neighbor with an earshot, and we have had a couple complaints over the years, and so we've dealt with them. And we've learned over the years on how to manage an Airbnb well. So I've got one right now that literally is in a subdivision. I'm gonna limit my a number of people downstairs to 2, a number of people upstairs to 6. Nobody's allowed in the house. No dinner parties, right? We have noise sensors, so we can tell if there's noise. If there is noise, I'm going to call them up, or I'm going to go over to the house. So there's just ways that we deal with it, and this is what the process of becoming a knowledgeable, educated, and experienced short-term rental host looks like. All right. We also include a neighbor, right? So we'll go and meet a neighbor. Hey, we're the owners of this property. We want to keep and have a good property that, we don't want any trouble, and would like to pay you if there's any challenges to come over. We've been very lucky in enrolling a neighbor. Am I open to short-term rentals in South Florida? Absolutely. Interested in multifamily? How can I get investors to loan money on the deal for a down payment? Learn how to analyze real estate deals. Learn how to make it in somebody's best interest to be a partner in that deal, right? Give them a return that they are happy with, right? I find 12 and 15% returns are pretty good for investors to lend in. Surround yourself with a community of like-minded people. Get more information about the real estate investment training and education system that this organization is world class for, and whoever invited you here can get you more information on that. How do I know if I need to completely tear down and rebuild? How do you make a decision if it's salvageable? Have very knowledgeable rehabbers that you build teams with. And a lot of times, right, and I just was involved with a real estate deal where the owner of the property bought a property that should have been torn down and has now lost $150,000 because they had somebody that thought they could rehab it that just couldn't do it, not within the budget that they had, and wasn't willing to do the work themselves. So then building a successful team is very important. Can a veteran take advantage of these deals? Absolutely, 1,000%. In fact, veterans get financing options that us non-veterans do not. So absolutely you can. I'd like to know how the steps you did with the other people's money to buy real estate. So when we are structuring our real estate deals, we make sure that we have security for our lenders. There's many ways to do that. There's a class on raising capital in partnerships. There's also a class on private and hard money. Each class is about 8 hours long. That's 16 hours of training. Helped me understand the conversations they have, how to structure the deals, what the entities looks like, all of the things and fundamentals. Obviously, I can't give you 16 hours of training in a few sentences, but understanding how to structure deals such that we protect people's capital and make it in their best interest to partner with us is how we raise capital for deals. Are you looking for an assistant? Absolutely, all the time we are looking for assistance. Um, you know, if you are in Chicagoland, that's where I live and that's where I do real estate. Leo, what are some ways to get government listed properties to wholesale? Google it, right? You can find lists of properties. I like the system that I use, which I showed you already, because it has 20 different lead types and has 100% of all the property in the United States, both residential and commercial. You can get back with who invited you here to get more information about our programs. Guys, I do a full overview of that software on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's 2 hours long. I get into detail. I'll search 10 people's different zip codes or counties or whatever you want me to look. I'll look up to see how many properties are in your area for you. It's free to attend Monday night, 7 o'clock every week. Join us. Let whoever invited you here know that you'd like to join me on Monday night. Are you looking to keep expanding? Absolutely. Why? Because I now see an opportunity of a lifetime. In 2009, guys, when I bought my first rental, I could have bought the house across the street for 50,000. It's worth 400 today. I could have bought the house 2 doors over for 150,000. It just sold for 150. I could have bought the house next door to that for 60,000. It's on the market right now for 450. It's a 3-unit building. I could have bought the house down the street for 30 grand. It's worth 250 today. Why did I not do that? Because I was new. I was young in my career, right? I was still kind of trying to figure it out. And hindsight's 2020. I'm not making that mistake again. Never in your lifetime, ever, have we been able to go and get 3% mortgages taken over. Because you just saw me pull up 12,000 properties that are in one county that have 4% or below mortgages. Have you ever seen that in your lifetime? Never have. Why? Because we've never had interest rates that low. We've never had foreclosures go up this fast. We've never had unemployment go up this fast. We've never had inflation go up this fast. Have you been to the grocery store lately? It's crazy. They say our inflation's at 6%. Our inflation's at 40% on some of the things that we're buying for every day, like eggs and milk and bread. And look it up, man. It's insane where we're at right now. So what is the solution? Build a business that creates cash flow. Build a business that creates cash flow. Build a business that creates cash flow. It's that simple. Is it easier to go get a job right now or to give somebody a job? I promise you it's easier to give somebody a job. So becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a real estate investor, becoming a business owner separates you from the people who are out there struggling, trying to find work, right? And the mindset, right? How do I make money that I don't trade my time for? Right? I'll never ever be worked by the hour again. Why? Because I can do a real estate deal and make 1,000 an hour. I'm not going to spend my time making, 100 an hour, right? And I'm a really great craftsman and carpenter, and I've done some amazing things. I'm not worth 100 an hour, right? As a carpenter. So, anyway, so your question was, are you looking to keep expanding? I see the opportunity to build a business that's easily managed with leveraged, helping other people, giving other people work and creating $50,000 a month in income. That's absolutely possible for any one of us that's on this line today. Other than Renatus iOS, what are other software methods that you use to find homes? I don't need anything else, Steve, because that works. I used to have a foreclosure list that I paid $100 a month for Cook County for. Right now, I have the whole entire country. So I haven't had a need to go outside of that platform. Now, if I did have a need, I would just start Googling and finding other platforms. But, I'm very particular about the types of real estate I do. And there's so much real estate that comes at me. I haven't found a need to use other platforms. Now, maybe you live in an area where iOS doesn't have quite as good a data. I live in a very populated area. I live in the third largest metropolitan area in the United States of America, being in the Chicagoland area. So real estate deals are like the bus, right? There's always another one coming. I can't possibly stop the flow of that. Is this property a tear down? Can it be saved? Don's got pictures for me. I don't know, right? Are the bones good? Is the right? I mean, the first thing you need is a good landscaper to go out and clean this thing up. But you know, is there water damage? Is there foundation damage? I mean, anything can be saved. Where can I go to find good lenders? In the private and hard monies classes, they have 14 different ways that they go over on how to find lenders. So that's how I learned. And you know, finding or Googling, right? Money lenders, although I will tell you that there's all the different ways that I showed you earlier on the list. Hard money lenders are at the very, very, very bottom of that list, right? I don't mind being a hard money lender, but I certainly don't like using hard money lenders if I don't have to. So I will learn how to raise capital in all the other ways besides using hard money. Hard money horror stories are a dime a dozen. Why? Because hard money lenders, a lot of them are unscrupulous, and they are in the business of stealing people's houses and stealing their equity and stealing their work, not actually being good quality lenders. So buyer beware, educate yourself, and learn how to make sure the contracts are in your best interest. How to find and make deals with contractors. I like using contractors that are local to the properties. Why? Because contractors don't like fighting traffic either. When I was a remodeling contractor for 18 years. I gave better prices to people in Oak Park, Illinois. Why? Because I live there, right? I went to Heinz Lumber. I went to JC Licks right in town. I never had to leave. I never had to leave Oak Park, and so that made my life easy. I could get to my house from my house to my job site in 5 minutes or 8 minutes. So that's what I recommend when you are looking for contractors. How do you find contractors? Drive around during the day and you find contractors that you find the trucks and the properties that are under repair that work in that area, right? Here's a pro tip: drive around at night. Why? You see trucks in the driveways of the contractors, and that's where they live. So where do I want to? I want to knock on the door. Hey, my name is Bob. I live in the area. I'm buying houses in the area. I see you live here. Would you be interested in doing a side job? Maybe working nights, weekends, on the side. So there's lots of different ways that we do that. Is there a special format or resource that you use to analyze a deal? Yes, I use IOS. I'm going to go over that on Monday night at 7 o'clock. And we get into the deal analysis. That's what I use. Where did you learn your dancing skills? I fell in love with a girl that wanted to be a professional ballet dancer. She says,
Oh,
"You're going to date me. You're taking ballroom dancing lessons."
yeah.
And we've
That's
multiple first place contents in ballroom dancing. And as a script to use to talk to a seller, yes, I learned that in the education. How do you get a grant or funding money to purchase property? You read the rules of the grants and follow them, and be willing to beat everybody else that's trying to win the grant. 1 hour.
Bob. Wow. I can breathe now, finally. I was holding my breath the whole time. No, I'm just kidding. You know, Bob, wrapping up, this has been an incredible property tour today. So much information, but very powerful, very impactful. Again, just to reiterate, if you guys want to learn, you just listened, and if you've taken some notes and you've really listened, this is an individual that started like a lot of us start. He was again. I'm sure you don't mind me saying this, Bob. You were broke. You had terrible credit.
God,
I remember here.
I got a
Go ahead.
from my apartment. I stood on a curb, looking at the curb across the street, saying, "That is my next home if I don't get my head out of my you know what." I faced homelessness. That's what I went through. And that is why I'm here today. Right? So the reason I'm so passionate about our group and our real estate investment community, because it changed my life. It's changed thousands of people's lives. Right? And if you're skeptical, you should be, because there's a lot of scammy people out there. And that's why we do this, because the people in this community, the ones that take it seriously, there's a lot of people that, have joined our program and didn't do shit with it, and I can't help them. But if you join it and you do the work and you take the classes and you show up for help, there's thousands of people that are real estate investors today that were broke with 400 credit, just like me.
Bob, let's wrap this up. Again, very powerful. I thank you so much. But for
Okay.
folks that are on today, they're looking at our community. They're checking out what real estate investing is, and can they get going? Can they get started? Is this the group to be with? You know my story, because you were very, very important in the beginning of how I got started and how we met. But what would you like to leave everybody with today? That can really give them that surge to move forward.
It only took me 20 days of training, 20 days to learn how to get my first real estate deal done. Are you willing to spend 20 days to educate yourself? Right? Your mind is the best investment you'll ever make. Right? We're all born equal with the ability to become unequal. It depends on what we put in our mind, the people we surround ourselves by, and what we choose to do with it. Because I am just like anybody else. I struggled. I looked check to check. I was broke. And I got so sick and tired of it. I finally decided to do something about it. And the people in this community inspire me every single day. And it has been a joy and an honor to be a part of this. Scott, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to contribute. And I know Chef there has got a big question here. You can just get a hold of me, right? Get back with whoever invited you here. They got my email address. I give it out every day. So I'm happy to help you. I know this is an hour long, so we got to end. But if you ever need my support, I do a training call 4 days a week at noon Central Time. I've been doing that since 2010, 2009, 2,678 calls and counting. I record them every day. Get back with who invited you here. Join us and get on my calls. Ask me any questions you want.
Well, Bob, again, thank you very much. We just, you know how much I love you, brother, and you inspire me every day. And so for everybody on, have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on our next property tour next Saturday, same time. Bob, take care, have a blessed weekend, and give our best to your beautiful wife.
Thank you, Scott. Have a great day, everybody.